Very good evening and good morning to all of you. So, we are here with another class on the organon of medicine. If there are any questions regarding the last two classes, because we have done till aphorism 10, so we will be starting with aphorism 11. If there are any questions, you can send me. You can send in the chat or you can send in the group or even personally. By the end of this lecture, we can discuss those questions. So till last time we have started in the last class, we have started with the concept of the vital force. This concept basically changes the whole outlook of how we are going to see the patient. The disease, as we have understood it from the point of the pathology, what we are told in the pathological books, that the diseases are started by some matter, some kind of bacteria, some kind of virus, some kind of, and I'm talking more about the acute diseases, because if you go into the chronic diseases, then you don't find any causations that why it started. Like for example, diabetes or the asthma, or there is no particular causation why these things start. Yes, there is phenomena what is going on behind it, but there is no particular causation to be understood there according to the pathology. So from them, it is like the disease is coming from somewhere from the air. Disease is coming from somewhere from where the things don't exist. Because the origin of the disease, of any disease, cannot be seen at the tissue level. It cannot be seen. There is no start of it. There is no end of it. So it cannot be seen at the level. What we see in pathological books is the result of the disease. The disease happened after that, how it basically modified or changed the tissue or the cell, how it basically changed the matter. That is what we see. But there we cannot go to the causation, that how it was caused. So this concept of vital force clears that thing. It clears that thing, that how the diseases basically start, how the body is made diseased. That it is not the physical or the cell tissue which is basically diseased. There is a force behind it which was keeping it healthy. The force which was doing all the functions. It is very, if you think about it, it is so miraculous thing that when conception happens, the two cells they meet. From those two cells, trillions of cells they develop from those two cells. And who tells that those cells, or who tells those that body or that embryo, that which cells are going to become bone and which cells are going to become the muscle and which cells are going to become the nerves and which cell are going to become the this legs or the stomach or the heart. So many different kind of tissues we have. We have so many kind of different tissues in the body which develop during that time, when the embryo is formed, when the child is formed in the womb of the mother. So there has to be a basic force. There has to be a basic instinctive intellect which controls all these things, which makes these things happen. So that force which is there, the force which is acting on the body, which is guiding the body, which is doing things without even us knowing about those things, that force is called as the vital force by Dr. Henneman. So we'll go ahead from that point. We'll start with the aphorism 11. So we'll start with the aphorism 11. So in the previous two aphorisms, we learned what vital force do when the patient is in healthy state, when the vital force is in healthy state, what it does. Now we come to aphorism 11, where Dr. Henneman explains that how this vital force or the person basically gets ill. So when a person falls ill, whenever the organism, whenever some person is getting ill, whenever a patient is getting sick, it is only this spiritual, self-acting, automatic vital force everywhere present in his organism that is primarily deranged. So whenever a person falls ill, this spiritual, I have explained spiritual in the last class, self-acting, which is self-acting. You don't have any control over this vital force. No one has control over this vital force. So it is a self-acting force everywhere present in this organism. It is everywhere present. That is primarily deranged. So the first derangement, the primary derangement, it happens in this force. And how did this derangement happens is by the dynamic influence upon it of a morbific agent inimical to life. This line is very, very, very important to understand. Okay. So the first part is the dynamic influence. It is deranged by a dynamic influence. That means vital force is basically dynamic in nature. It is a dynamic substance. It is not a matter. You cannot see, feel. There are many forces which we have read about in our physics. When we talk about the Newtonian physics, we talk about the gravitational force. We talk about the force of friction. We talk about the common force, many forces. But the character of the force is that only we can see the action of a force, the gravitational force. It is said there was one of the series, and there are someone talks about this thing that basically this person does not believe in God. He believes in more of science. But then there is a thing where he talks about something that the gravitational force in the universe, which we have, like the earth is revolving around the sun and the sun is revolving around something in our galaxy, and then the galaxies are revolving around the center of something. He said that if this if this gravitational force would have been just 1% more, if you theoretically increase just 1% of this gravitational force, the whole universe will collapse. The whole universe will collapse. And if you just decrease this gravitational force by just 1% or even half of it, the whole universe will fall apart. So it has been so precisely maintained. So, but what is maintaining it? What is maintaining it? So similarly in our body also, in the organism also, like if you start reading the physiology of the body, the physiology, how the kidney is functioning, how the heart is functioning, how our gastric linings they function, how our blood is functioning, the platelets, the bone marrow, how they all are functioning. If you start thinking about it, we come to this point that we cannot do it consciously. There is some subconscious force which is acting and which is doing all these things, which is making everything that is happening there to happen till we live. So the forces are dynamic in nature. And because they are dynamic in nature, so they can be basically rearranged by something which is similar. So only a dynamic influence can basically dearrange the vital force. Now, upon it of a morbific agent. Second part is the morbific agent. Morbific agent means disease producing agent. But from our point of view, from our material point of view, We have always studied that the morbific agent or the disease producing agents, they are basically some kind of bacteria, viruses, some kind of parasite, some kind of fungus, which are basically, but again here the morbific agent is basically dynamic influence. It has to be in a dynamic way. And that morbific agent which is basically inimical to life, a very very beautiful word it is written, inimical to life. Inimical means against the life. Now from here, if you take a perspective, the life is not of one, that person, of the single person. Life is a general thing. Everywhere you see life around you. You see life in the human beings, you see life in the animal kingdom, you see life in the plant kingdom. Life is a very general thing. Life is something which is going on right now at this present moment. That is life. Life is not a span of time. Life is not an individual thing. Life is a general thing. So generally, the things which are inimical to life, which are basically against the life forces. Life, when we talk about life, we talk about the positive aspects of the life. The things a person can do, the things a society can do, the things a group of people or some uh, they can do to change something for the good. So life is an ongoing process. So anything which is inimical, which is against the life as a whole, not of a one individual person. That is why Dr. Kent, when he describes Sora, we have already done it in discussed in global classes. When he describes the Sora, he describes the Sora as a disease of whole human race. He didn't told that it is an individual disease. He was talking about the whole human race, disease, primitive wrong of the whole human race. So, what are the morbific agents inimical to life? Now, dynamic influence, there is a footnote with this where Dr. Henneman has written materia peccans. This is a Latin word, materia and peccans. Materia means matter, and peccans means sinning, sin, SINNING, sinning, matter of sin. What is produced after sinning? So we will just hold ourselves because this is very important and this needs to be addressed. Doing wrong. Peccans means sinning or doing something wrong. So something in a loose adapt in a loose translation, many books have given it as the materia means matter and the peccans means disease. It is not disease. If you go back and see in the Latin, it is not disease. It is more related to sinning. Now, when we go into these things, it becomes that it is, we are talking about more religion or we are talking about something which is related with the scriptures or something like this. No, it has nothing to do with the religion or and this thing or some particular book or something. Usually, everywhere, whenever something started, something good started, whenever some knowledgeable person, some spiritual person, they came into the world, they told the people to do something which can change their lives. So they, you go to any scripture, any book, some things they remain common. And we have discussed about this also. We have discussed about the love, the part of love, the way we take it, that it is the first wrong which a human does of taking or understanding love in a wrong way. So there are many other things which basically are inimical to life. For example, I will give a general view that anything which basically creates a negative emotion, negative emotion is basically inimical to life. Okay. So anything, any feeling, any kind of desire, any kind of aversion, any kind of sensitivity which produces negative emotion of anger, emotion of anxiety, emotion of fear, emotion of sadness, emotion of discouragement, despair, any kind of uh, bad inspiration, any kind of wrong emotion which comes, emotion of grief. So whatever is behind it, that is basically inimical to life. Because when you are in a negative state of mind or of emotions, it basically takes up your energy. It So when there is no energy, so how the force can be applied? Because if something has energy, then only it can apply force. Only then the force can be applied. So when these emotions they suck out the energy, the force cannot be applied to keep up the health. So for example, I'm just giving an example. For example, if someone is very competitive, because whenever you will be competitive, you will have envy or jealousy in you. If someone is ahead of you, you cannot tolerate it. So you have to be ahead. You have to go. So when there is this competitiveness, because nowadays when you see patients, and this all thing was done, uh, I'm sorry to say this thing. Maybe many people will disagree with this thing, but it's okay. The Darwin is the culprit behind it, behind giving the competition that the only the best can survive. So to survive, in our mind, we think that we are in a state of jungle. Wherever there is competition, it is a law of jungle, law of forest, that only the best can survive. So we are all into a state of survival. Whenever we are into a state of survival, all the negative emotion, the emotion of anxiety, fear, competitiveness, many big organizations, many MNCs, they push their workers, they push their employees to go into that state of competition. Some say that this is a healthy competition. Competition can never be healthy. There is no healthy competition. Cooperation is healthy when we cooperate. There is a this thing, I can do this thing better, you can do this thing better, let's cooperate. Cooperation has respect, cooperation has a mutual understanding, cooperation has freedom, more peace a person can be when we are cooperating. But when we are in a state of competition, there is no peace of the mind. So many, like I was telling, that many multinational companies or many companies, they tell their employees to have killer's instincts. Sometimes I wonder at the choice of the words, killer's instinct, that you have to kill something. So this is automatically inimical to life if you have that kind of mindset. Killing is inimical to life, although it is a figurative thing, but you are killing something. You are killing someone's ambition. You are killing someone's path. You are killing someone's hard work. So whenever we are in a state of competition, we are always in the state of survival. Okay? So this, and there are so many, because why I'm saying about competition, because every day I see patients who are into this stage, who are into this state. Many youngsters who are joining these companies, many youngsters. There was this girl. She was so much depressed and discouraged because her Instagram channel was not getting as much likes as her friends were getting. S- When I asked her that, how does it matter how many likes you get or how, she says that it matters socially. This is a social um, state, part of social status nowadays. And I was very much, I felt, bad also about her. And I was very much astonished also about the idiocy, stupidity which this thing is producing in the youngsters, because even if you have, for example, if you have more likes or more this thing than the person who is next to you, how it is going to affect your life in reality? How is it going to, but that small, that people know me, people like me. And I have seen these youngsters when they are liking some post, they like, they're just okay, like this thing, then like next thing, without even watching, without even studying, without even reading what is written. They're just liking everything. So if the person on the other side of the phone, he's just liking like this, and you want that kind of liking. So what kind of mental state we are in? So these things, they have become inimical to life. They drain out that energy, life out of a person. The person is cut away from the reality. The person is cut away from those positive emotions of happiness, joy which comes from inside, not from some likes. Because any joy which is coming from outside will always be dependent upon the things which are outside. If those things we are getting, then we will feel happy. If we don't get, we will feel sad. So the joy has to come from inside. One should celebrate oneself. One should be happy about oneself. And that is what happens when the vital force is basically in a healthy state. It keeps our sensations and functions in a harmony. So these kind of dynamic influences, which are morbific agents, which are inimical to life, they start affecting, primarily dearranging this vital force. It is only the vital force dearranged to such an abnormal state that can furnish the organism with its disagreeable sensation. And when the vital force is dearranged to such an abnormal state, it is being pushed, it is being deranged again and again and again and again. And now it cannot repel back those things. Then it starts furnishing, it starts producing in the organism, in the body of the patient, disagreeable sensations, some kind of pain, some kind of heaviness, some kind of inflammations, and incline it to the regular processes which we call disease. Sorry, irregular processes. And then the inclination of this vital force is to produce these irregular processes. And we call those processes, those symptoms which we see, the pain, symptom of pain, the symptom of some kind of inflammation, the symptom of some kind of irritation, we call those things as disease. So this is how the disease is basically produced. So until and unless we don't take it down to our basic core, this particular thing, that how the disease is produced, we don't leave the matter uh, theory, the theory that the matter is somehow affecting the matter. Till then, we cannot understand the basic thing, the basic part about the homeopathy. It will be very difficult to understand. For as a power invisible in itself, because this power is invisible in itself, the vital force is invisible and only cognizable by its effects on the organism, and can be only understood, perceived, how it affects the organism. Its morbid derangement only makes itself known by the manifestation of the disease. It is getting deranged, it is getting morbidly deranged. It can only tell us, there is only one way of the vital force telling us that it is getting diseased, is by the manifestation of disease in the sensation and functions of those parts of the organism exposed to senses of the observer and physician. That is by morbid symptoms. So it can, there is only one way a vital force can tell us that it is diseased, by producing manifestation in the sensation and function of the organism, which the organism or the observer, the patient, organism means the patient, or the observer or the physician, can see in the form of morbid symptoms. So there is only one way The vital force can tell that it is diseased by producing symptoms. That is the only way. And in no other way can it make itself known. And there is no other way where it can tell us about its presence in any other way. It cannot tell us. Aphorism 12. It is morbidly affected vital force alone that produces diseases. Now, how the disease are produces? That it is morbidly affected vital force. Now, the vital force is morbidly affected. Morbidly affected by dynamic influences. Dynamic influences which were basically against the life force, the force of life. It was against those things. So it is the more I'm not talking about, I'm not going into that part, that how the thought affects us, how, because many times I just gave this example of competition because we are seeing these things nowadays. But if you say that only recent things can produce disease, no, it is from the beginning, when a person is born or even before birth, that these dynamic influences they have affected us. Many times when we are taking the history of a child who was diseased in the womb of the mother, we takes mother's history, that what she was going on through that time, so that we can have an idea about, what kind of phases she was going through, what kind of stresses she was going through, because from there you get an idea that okay, what kind of dynamic influences can there be. But that is just to get an idea, just to get an idea. The major thing which basically guides us to the disease is basically the symptoms which are produced now, or the symptoms which were there earlier, which were from where the phenomena might have gone into this thing. Okay? But talking about that particular thing, okay, these conflicts or these kind of things, they help us to get an idea. But again, I am telling you this thing because sometimes when I talk about conflicts of German new medicine or Dr. Hammer's theory or some other conflicts, um, an idea goes to the doctors or the students that this is the only way of understanding. That is why many times I have to bring them back that no, this is not the only way of understanding this thing. This is just to get an idea that this might have happened in the life. But the Sora had already started even before that. That was not the starting point of the patient getting sick. That was just the result. If someone is having ovarian cysts or someone is having this some bone disease, that does not mean that there was some one point in the life of the patient from where all these things started. No, we'll when we will go ahead, we will have these aphorisms of miasms, where Dr. Henneman will tell that the physician, the homeopath, he does not cure the primary or the secondary symptoms of Sora. These are the secondary symptoms of Sora. This ovarian says the causation for it because the patient has already been susceptible to it. So it is just to get an idea so that from where we can try to understand about the mind of the patient or try to understand about the disposition of the patient. So Dr. Hanuman says that the physician or a right homeopath does not cure the primary or the secondary symptoms of Sora, but the Sora itself, the causation, that principal causation itself. Okay. So when I'm talking about these things, because these things, why I'm talking is because these things basically, when you relate with yourself, I always say that if you want to know about the psyche, if you want to know about the mind, if you want to know about what goes up here, there is no book which can tell us. No book of psychology, no book of psychoanalysis, no book of anything which can tell us what is going here. There is only one book which we can read and can tell us what is going up here. That book is we ourselves. We ourselves. There is no better book than that. You can see yourself what is going up here. And when you start analyzing that, why this is happening, why this is, uh, for example, I think 1 or 2 years back, I wrote an note on, I think, Facebook, that why children cheat. Why children cheat in the exams or in this thing? Why children cheat? Because right from the beginning, we have been taught that result is the important thing. You know, result is most important thing. How much marks you get, what grade you get. Then in the adult life, whatever the profession is, what kind of results you are getting. A doctor is known by his results. A lawyer is known by his results. A project manager is known by many means number, how many projects he has done. So our thinking have been made result oriented. So to get a result, that pressure of getting a result makes children to cheat, because we never told them to enjoy the process. The healthy way would be that the result does not matter whatever it happens. If 10 people are running in a race, only one is going to be first. All 10 cannot come first. So it is important to tell the child that, enjoy the process of running. Just enjoy that thing. It does not matter if you uh, get at first position or 10th position. So that child will never cheat. Why he has to cheat? But those children would cheat where the parents, they are basically pressurizing the child. The teachers, they are pressurizing the child, or not only pressurizing, but valuing the child on the result. That this child is not good in these things. Mostly what happens is, whenever we go to a parent teacher meeting at the school, this is how our education system is working and it is affecting the children. The teachers, they will tell the parents that your child is not good in maths. And it happened to last year, I went for the to take the result of my daughter, because my wife and my daughter, she had gone to my wife's parents' place. So I had to go and collect the result. Usually my wife do this thing, Dr. Vidya, she does this thing. But then when I went there, so usually I don't ask to the teachers how the child is, because I know how she is. So I don't need anyone telling me that how she is. But then this teacher, she came to me that, yeah, are you Meher's father? Yes, I am. So I wished her, and she was like, she's not doing very good in mathematics. I said, okay. And then and she also needs much this thing to do with Punjabi. Punjabi is basically our, someone's mic is on. So, and then she told that she also needs some encouragement in the Punjabi language. It is a language, local language. So then I asked the teacher, then I said, ma'am, can you please tell me what she is very good at? And she was stunned. The teacher, she was stunned for a little time. Said, what? I said that, ma'am, can you please tell me what she is very good at, so that I can encourage her to do, you know, to apply her more energy in those things. Because whatever she is good at, that means that is coming to her naturally. That is coming to her naturally. So if something is coming to some person, if art is coming naturally to a person, science is coming naturally to a person, some language, some dance is coming naturally to a person, some sports is coming naturally to a person. So that child, that person should be encouraged to do that thing because that is his natural character. The person who is not athletic from his inside, he cannot perform in sports. If someone is having lots of energy, he has that athletic mindset of doing something, then he should be encouraged in that thing. So the teacher, she was very stunned that like she told that I will get you back on this thing, that what she's good at. So this is the problem with our thinking process, that school, teachers, and then the parents. Someone's mic is on. Can you please switch it off? So this kind of pressure, this kind of thinking, that result oriented thinking may makes children cheat. So that concept goes inside us right from the beginning. So I was telling you that there are so many concepts which we have absorbed in us. So when we start studying ourselves, then we start getting a sense of these things. But it is again going to take a long time to understand these things. So when I'm giving these examples that these things affect us, these things basically produce some negativity in us, these things basically, so it does not mean that only these things. There are so many things. There are so many things. But yes, these things, they affect the vital force and then they affect the organism. So it is the morbidly affected vital force alone that produces diseases. But the disease is produced when the vital force is basically affected. So that the morbid phenomena perceptible to our senses express at the same time all the internal change. That is to say, the whole morbid derangement of the internal dynamics. And it produces the diseases in a way that the whole phenomenon of the disease, which is perceptible, which we can see, which we can understand, which we can, which the patient can also tell us about, is expressed at the same time. All the internal change, whatever has changed internally, it is expressed at the same time. That is to say, the whole morbid derangement of the internal dynamics. So whatever the internal derangement has happened in the dynamic level, at the level of vital force, it is shown to us in the form of symptoms at the same given time. In a word, they reveal the whole disease. So it is not that the vital force will show some symptoms of some part and it will withhold some symptom. No, the whole, all of the symptoms, they are revealed. In a word, they reveal the whole disease. At a given time, at a given point of the time, they will reveal the whole disease whenever there is derangement inside. So it is not the derangement happened 1 month back, and after 1 month, the vital force will show us or reveal the whole disease. It happens at the same time. Consequently, also, the disappearance under treatment, when it is treated in the right way, in the right manner, in the right with the right remedies, the whole disease, it also disappears in the same manner. Disappearance under treatment of all the morbid phenomena and of all the morbid alterations that differ from the healthy vital operations certainly affects and necessarily implies the restoration of the integrity of the vital force and therefore recovered health of the organism. So the disappearance also happens in the same way. So all the morbid alterations, all the symptoms which had happened from the healthy state, alteration means from the healthy state, whatever got sick, when the right treatment is given, it all goes back to those healthy vital operations. And what we see is the recovered health of the whole organism, that the health has been established in the patient, in the sick. So what here Dr. Henneman wants to say is in these two aphorisms, 11 and 12, that the vital force, whenever it is sick, it is the principle or the function of the vital force to show you the whole phenomena that it has become sick. and thus the organism is becoming sick. And whenever the treatment or the right medicine is given to it, and the whole phenomenon starts disappearing and the health is established, and that means that the body has become healthy. There are no symptoms in the body which we can see, nothing which is morbid, nothing which is altered from the state of health. That means that the vital force has been restored. The integrity of the vital force has been restored. So this aphorism is against that uh, thing which the Hofland has written. We are still talking about that thing where it has said that the symptoms may disappear, but the disease does not. So Dr. Hahnemann is telling us about all this process of the vital force and how the disease is produced and how it is cured, to tell us that the symptoms are the disease of the dynamis. It is the only way, the symptoms are the only way the vital force can tell us that I am diseased. And when they disappear, when they go away from everywhere, the whole phenomena is gone. That means the health has been restored. So we should not keep that material aspect in the mind that somewhere in the some one corner of the body, that something which is morbid is remaining, although it is showing a false state of health. Health is a real state. If you understand health, what is health? It is a real state. And any intelligent physician can tell that a person is healthy and the person is not healthy. Healthy in a holistic way, not from the parameters, not from the um, uh, uh, while taking some medicine. Even after the medicine or the treatment has been done, the patient is in a state of health. The health, vital force is able to maintain the health. That is the healthy state. Footnote, there's a footnote to this aphorism 12. How the vital force causes the organism to display morbid phenomena, that is, how it produces diseases. It would be of no practical utility to physician to know, and therefore it will forever remain concealed from him. Now, this is very important thing, because many authors, many authors, good physicians, good doctors have wasted their lives in this thing. Dr. Hahnemann says that how this vital force, once it is diseased, how it basically causes the organism to display the morbid diseases, phenomena, or the disease, it would be of no practical utility. There is no practical utility about knowing this thing, that the how vital force basically causes disease on the organism. It is of no practical utility to the physician to know. That is why I'm telling that, okay, conflicts give you an idea. But when you just keep looking at the conflicts, when you just keep looking at those things, and try to go from there to find the remedies or the medicine, it it is not at all an accurate way, or it is not at all a right way. The physicians, the people who follow only this thing, they have wasted their good years, and sometimes it becomes so difficult to come back from there, because they have invested so much of time in it. So it becomes so difficult for them to come back to actually how the homeopathy is done. So just to warn the physician, okay, that it would be of no practical utility to the physician to know, and therefore it will forever remain concealed from him. And it is all for forever it is going to remain concealed, that how vital force is basically producing diseases in the organism. What is this relation? Only what it is necessary for him to know. Now, what is necessary for him to know of the disease, and what is fully sufficient for enabling him to cure? What is necessary for him to know of the disease? The knowledge of the disease, and what is sufficient, what is enabling him to cure? All the things which are important to cure a patient, and all the things which are important in a disease, has the Lord of life revealed to his senses. That is always revealed. The Lord the preserver, or the whatever you say, the universe, the God, or whatever. We will not go about the word, because sometimes the word becomes a problem. So, that uh, intelligence, it has already revealed that thing to the senses of the physician, although in the form of symptoms that is necessary for him to cure the patient. So this is a wasteful exercise. Like I told you, that many authors, many good physicians have wasted their lives in going to this thing, that how this thing happens. The result is in front of us. It has happened already. And whatever is necessary to cure him is present there. So the physician should put his energy and effort in that thing, about knowing that thing. Aphorism 13. Therefore, disease that does not come within the province of manual surgery. Okay. So all those diseases which do not come in the subject of surgery, where the manual surgery has to be done, except those things, all the diseases considered as it is by the allopathists as a thing separate from the living whole. So Dr. Hahnemann is saying that all the allopathists, they are basically understanding that disease is something which is separate from the living whole. From the whole body, disease is something which is separated. Because there's a material notion that disease is coming from outside. On the contrary, it is coming from inside. It is coming from inside. It is within, not from without. It is produced within, from the causes which are within. We'll talk about those causations when we will go to Aphorism 31. As a thing separate from the whole living being, from the organism and its animating vital force. So this material notion, it makes physicians think that the disease is something which is completely separate from the living whole, from the organism and from the animating vital force, and is hidden in the interior. Bit of ever so subtle a character is an absurdity. He's saying that this is absurdity of mind. This is an absurd thinking. This is a falsified thinking. This is a thinking which is not intellectual. That could only be imagined by the minds of a materialistic stem. And it can only be imagined where the mind is completely materialistic, where it only sees matter and it cannot see the things happening, functions happening beyond matter. And has for thousands of years given to the prevailing system of medicine all those pernicious impulses that have made it a truly mischievous, non-healing art. And because of such a thinking, from thousands of years, doctors, they have this, he's saying pernicious impulses, that they get these ideas that okay, it is something inside which we can pull out. It is something which we can, just bring that out and everything is okay. And that have made it a truly mischievous art. Mischievous does not mean naughty. Mischievous means in a bad sense. Something which is bad, something which is harmful. Hello, Dr. Hahnemann uses word here for the first time. Not, I think in the introduction also he has used, but in the organ he has used this word allopathists. So this word allopathist or allopathy or allopathic, it was basically coined by Dr. Hahnemann. Before this, there was no such word, allopathist, just for the common knowledge that this word, the word allopathy or allopathic, was given by Dr. Hahnemann. So there is in the interior of man nothing morbid that is curable, and no invisible morbid alteration that is curable, which does not make itself known to the accurately observing physician. So whatever is morbid in the interior of man, whatever is diseased state, it always shows itself to the accurately observing physician. by means of morbid signs and symptoms. Like I told you that there is no other way of the body, of the organism, that it can tell to the physician that I am sick by producing morbid signs and symptoms. There is no other means. If a patient is coming with an accidental, like a few days back, I had a patient who came to me, a lady who came to me with a TSH level of, I think, 9 or 10. It was an accidental thing. Accidental means that nowadays it is a trend that you should get your physical checkup every 6 months. No, the labs, they are earning money. The pharmaceutical companies are earning money, earning good money out of it. So they are pushing for it, that it is better. That nowadays, I am very surprised. Nowadays, uh, there is a term pre-diabetic, that you are pre-diabetic. So a patient came to me day before yesterday, on Saturday, it was Friday or Saturday, and he told that, doctor, I have gone for this physical checkup, and they told me that I am pre-diabetic. What is pre-diabetic? Now see, there are two type of people in the world. One is diabetic, and the other is pre-diabetic. When a child is born, he is pre-diabetic before diabetes. The person who is not having diabetes, so he is a pre-diabetic person. It is a dangerous thing to put people in categories. Very dangerous thing. In classes and categories, when you put people in categories, the mindset of that person, even yours, but of that person also, becomes to start to thinking into in with that thing. Putting someone in category basically takes away the freedom of the person. So he was asking me that, okay, now what I should do? I, I said that whatever you have been doing till now, do that thing. You are pre-diabetic. That means you don't have diabetes. So new terms are coming, to very. I'm ashamed also to say this thing, and because medical system, physician, it was said, even nowadays it is said that doctor is next to the god. God, after God, there is someone who can save the life here on the earth is the doctor. But some people, I am not say everyone, but some people, out of their greed, out of their this, I don't want to, but okay, this thing, they have disvalued the human life. They don't have value for human life. So this lady, she came to me and she told the doctor, I'm having this high TSH. So because her whole family is taking medicine from me, so she had a good faith in me. So she came and I said that, okay, what are your symptoms? I asked about those symptoms. I'm not feeling anything. I'm very good. I do exercise. I get up early in the morning. I do everything and this thing. But the doctor has told me to start with this Thironorm 50. So should I start it? I said that when you are healthy, there are no signs and symptoms. Just to decrease a value, just to decrease a number, I start giving thyroxine, an extra thyroxine to her. And TSH, I don't know if the doctors have not who prescribe this thing. I have known many very good allopathic doctors who don't prescribe thyroxine until and unless the symptoms are present. I know few in my city only. And I'm surprised also, and I feel good and I feel thankful to them. That when we are doing this organ and this thing, we are not against we are not against the system. There are many good physicians Many good I have known in my city, in generally also in when I go to Thailand, I talk about the things. When I go to Brazil, when I went to USA, I talk about the things. There are so many people, and those doctors, they know that that the medicines, they should not be used this that they should be used with a very big responsibility. Whenever we are prescribing something, we have a big responsibility that to improve the person's health, at least not to destroy it, at least not to harm it more. So I've seen many doctors, many who have this kind of sense, who have that kind of pain towards their patients. But then there are few. Then there are few. It is not only in allopathy and homeopathy also there are these kind of people, because it depends upon the person, not upon the pathy which they are in. If you have a car, if someone is having a car, but the driver is bad, so he's going to go and do an accident. It is not the that the car is not guilty for that thing. So similarly here also, there is in the interior of man nothing morbid that is curable, and no invisible morbid alteration that is curable, which does not make. So whenever there is something morbid, something diseased going in the process going in the body, the vital force, it will show itself in the form of signs and symptoms. It will not show itself in the form of parameters or the reports or something like that. An arrangement in perfect conformity with the infinite goodness. And this arrangement has been made with the infinite goodness, with a good intention. This kind of system, this kind of phenomena has been made of the all wise preserver of human life. That nature, that God, that higher intelligence, again, whatever you call it, it has made a process, it has made a phenomena like this, that whenever a person is sick, when a person is feeling unhealthy, whenever there is something morbid going on, it will be shown in the form of sign and symptoms. And there is no other way of knowing it. No other way. So there is no pre-diabetes. There is no this, pre-cancerous. Because when the sign, when it will be morbid affection inside, whenever there will be, it will be shown. It will be shown in the form of sign and symptom. And that is an arrangement which has been made by that nature, made by that preserver of human life. So the affection of the morbidly deranged spirit-like dynamics, this vital force, whenever it is affected by this morbidly derangement, this happens, this disease state, it happens, that animates our body in the invisible interior, and the totality of the outwardly cognizable symptoms produced by it in the organism and representing the existing melody constitute a whole. So this affection of our vital force, whenever the vital force is affected in the interior, and this totality, the whole of the symptoms which we get in the head, in the legs, in the stomach, in the heart, in the bones, in the muscles, wherever the symptoms are coming, the whole totality of it, which are produced, those symptoms which are produced by the dearranged vital force in the organism, it basically constitutes the whole malady, it constitutes the whole disease. So they are one and the same. So whatever the disease is going inside and whatever the totality of symptom is shown outside, it is one and the same. We cannot say that, okay, the arm is getting sick, but the vital force around this, because vital force is animating each and every part. It is present everywhere in the organism. Like Dr. Heinemann has said already, it shows its presence everywhere. So whenever it is sick in some part, then that part will again become sick. It will show itself that here there is some problem. So all those symptoms which are produced, they basically constitute the totality. And it also shows where our vital force is basically dearranged. So they're one and the same. The organism is indeed the material instrument of life. This organism, this physical body is a material instrument of the life. It is matter, but it is not conceivable without the animation imparted to it. But it can, like we did in the first aphorism, we talked about it, that when a person is dead, all that material organ, all that material instrument is present there. The heart is there, the brain is there, the nerves are there, the enzymes, blood cells, bone marrow, whatever is needed, the kidneys, liver, everything is there, lungs are there. So why it cannot breathe at that time? Because the thing, the simple substance, Dr. Kent writes about it as simple substance. The simple substance which was giving animation, life to this material instrument, it is not present there now. It is not present. It is gone. That force is gone. But it is not conceivable without the animation imparted to it by the instinctively perceiving and regulating vital force. Two more functions of vital force, that it is instinctively perceiving, it is understanding everything instinctively, and it is regulating everything. The whole regulation inside our body, the physiological, the anatomical regulation which is going on, it is being done by this vital force. Just as the vital force is not conceivable without the organism. And the other thing was also true. What? That vital force also cannot show its presence without the presence of the organism. Because every force needs some object to apply itself. For example, there is a gravitational force. But if the sun and the earth are not there, then how can we understand the gravitational force? We have two objects. And one object is basically revolving around the others. From there we can understand or conceive. That is why the word conceivable is used. Conceive means to perceive, to understand the action. So from there, from the thing which is happening, we can understand that there is some force which is doing this thing. So consequently, the two together constitute a unity. So this is basically a unity, the vital force and the organism. They are a unity. So whatever happens in one will happen in the another. And whatever amount of morbidity or morbid derangement will happen in the vital force will be happening in the organism also. So we cannot, this thing is not conceivable at all after understanding all these things, that the organism will become sick, but the internally, or the organism will become healthy, but there is some disease still going on inside. Consequently, the two together constitute a unity. Thought, although in thought, our mind separates this unity into two distinct conceptions for the sake of facilitating the comprehension of it. They are a unity. The organism and vital force, they are a unity. Whenever they are working in a unified way. Although in our mind, we separate this unit into two different things, vital force and organism. And why we are separating those things? So that we can comprehend it more in a more easy way. That what are the functions of the vital force and what are the functions of the body, and how the disease or the health is shifted from the vital force to the body, how it keeps it in harmony, what are the what are the things which basically affect the vital force and then affect the organism. So for comprehension, for the understanding of that thing, in our thought, we are basically separating these two things here in these aphorisms, but they are one and the same thing. It is a unity. In reality, when you see that, you see a car and a driver who are working in unity. Car cannot move without a driver, and without a driver cannot go without a car. So when they're doing this thing, they are doing it as a unity. But to understand the function of a car and the driver, we have to separate those two things apart. So that is what Dr. Henneman has done in these organisms, so that we as a physician can remove that material concept of disease and try to understand the dynamic concept, that how the disease are actually, because we know now, most of you are the doctors here, you have been studying from so many years, you have studied pathology, you have gone through many other sciences, and you have seen many other things. And one thing is for sure, that how a disease is produced cannot be explained by pathology. From the material point of view, you cannot explain it. Even if some books have explained it, they have explained it from the point of view of either emotion, or either from the point of view of some kind of things again which are inimical to life, that can produce these kind of that which can produce diseases. Dr. Henneman has gone more deeper when he talks about vital force. When he talks about the vital force. So with that, we will conclude today's class. So when we look at these things, when Dr. Henneman, sometimes the words he uses may appear to be harsh, but they are not harsh. He is not saying those things out of some vindictiveness. He's not saying those things out of anger. He's not saying those things out of some kind of, s- to show out of some contempt. He was above those things. If you look at the life history, I will, from next few classes, I will also discuss some events of his life which can tell you about the person. Although I don't believe in the autobiographies or biographies, because for me, it is my personal view and what I have seen, that you can know a person. For example, there was some person who has uh, happened to be someone, anyone. You can know about the person from what he believed in, from whatever he believed in. So whatever Dr. Henneman has believed in, he has written in this book. So you can know Dr. Henneman much better from this, from rather than from any life history. But still, then there are some events which can tell us about our master, our teacher, and how he has overcome all those difficulties of the life, and keep going, still keep going on, because he had this grit. He had this. He wanted to do something for the sake of humanity. That was his biggest passion. That was his biggest ambition. So I was telling that sometimes those words may appear harsh. They appear harsh because they are true. They are true. Sometimes the truth appears to be harsh. So I will not say that, okay, ignore those words because they are harsh. No, on the contrary, we should understand those words more deeply, because they are not told out of some maliciousness. They are not told out of some kind of this thing. When Dr. Henneman said this thing, that it is a mischievous art, it is a harmful art. So it is not that he wanted to show that homeopathy is bad. No, he has not talked about homeopathy till now. He has not talked about it. He's just telling you how a physician should do, what should be in the mind of the physician when he's seeing the patient. That I'm he should see the patient as a whole. He should see the patient as a person, not as some part. Patient is not his heart, patient is not his lungs, patient is not his uh, like I had a girl today. She had this cystitis, fever and cystitis, and she was given this medicine. Some doctor told that we have to give her this 10 injections. I don't know why 10 injections, so that the infection will be removed, and She had E. coli infection and something like that. And the TLC, they were high. So because the fever was there, so she had to be taken to some doctor. So the parents, when they took him, so they started applying some injection and started giving some antibiotics to her. They even gave her, small girl of 5 years old, they started giving her steroids. Why? Because the number of E. coli was not coming down. And then this girl, she started developing vomiting. She was not able to digest anything. Then they started giving her antacids. So after one disease, the another, and then the another, and then the another. And after 10, 12 days of treatment, when she was not getting better, so she was referred to some more big hospital. So 10 or 12 days of treatment, and she did not get well even after that. On the contrary, she developed more symptoms. She got more weak. So that is what Dr. Henneman was against, this kind of harmful treatment. But we are not here to kill HR, E. coli. We are here to save the patient. When you are killing, when your whole focus is on killing E. coli, that the number should come down, number should come down, and you're not at all looking at the patient, that what is happening to the patient with that medicine. Then that is what Dr. Henneman said, that patient should be the focus, not the disease, not his what is happening, this thing. Patient as a whole should be the focus. So that is why when he is using these harsh words sometimes in between, so that is because it needed to be said. It needed to be said so that the physician can introspect what I am doing. So with that, I will not take more of your time, and I will conclude this class, and next Wednesday we'll meet again. Thank you. Thank you so much.